Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard presented by RDSC, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons. And today, it's been 2 weeks into the NBA season, and we are going to do the first official power rankings for the NBA season from my takes. And I'm going to be doing this every end of the month for the rest of the season. So end of October, like we're doing right now, end of November, end of December, end of January, all that. As close as we can get, because obviously sometimes on Fridays, it's not going to line up perfectly with the end of the month. So if it's a day early or a day late, you'll understand. But today we're going to be covering the NBA Power Rankings as well as the NBA Cup predictions, because the NBA Cup starts tonight. And I think it's going to be one of the most interesting NBA Cups we've had so far. We've had the Bucks in both the NBA Cup finals the past 2 seasons. I think that's going to change this year. But if you are just listening, obviously I also put my stuff out on YouTube at Beyond the Scoreboard on YouTube. If you want to check out the power rankings for yourself on Instagram or YouTube, both of them are posted there. So at Beyond the Scoreboard on Instagram and at Beyond the Scoreboard on YouTube. But let's jump right into the NBA power rankings. Now, obviously, if you know how power rankings work, power rankings are... It's kind of off right now, but also off of a prediction. So some of these teams you might see they have a better record than a lot of the teams ahead of them, but they might be a little bit lower just because I don't project that they're going to do as much throughout the season as some of the teams above them or some of the teams below them. So let's just get right into it. At the number 1 spot for my NBA Power Rankings, I don't think there's a single person that watches the NBA every single night that can say the Oklahoma City Thunder are not the best team in the entire NBA once again. I mean, they're 6-0 right now. No Jalen Williams. Chet has missed 2 straight games, and they've won 2 games in double overtime, and they've beat good teams to start the year. This Oklahoma City Thunder team, they're getting battle-tested from the start, which is an amazing sign for a super young team coming off an NBA championship. Like I've been saying all offseason and in the first week, I think this Oklahoma City Thunder team could go back-to-back because they are so hungry and so young that there's just so much to build on with this young core. And I think Sam Presti has done an amazing job drafting. He deserves pretty much all the credit outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Mark Daigneault. But this Oklahoma City Thunder team, I think they're going to sit at the top of the power rankings for a couple months until maybe somebody can dethrone them. But it's going to be very difficult because this Oklahoma City Thunder team is so good once again. And they're only going to get better once Jalen Williams comes back, once Chet Holmgren comes back. So this is going to be a really fun team to watch once again this year. And they are going to be super dominant once again. Now at the number 2 spot, I have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, coming off a bad loss the other night against the Boston Celtics, where they blew a 20-plus point lead to a undermanned Boston Celtics team. But Cleveland, I think they're still the best regular season team in the Eastern Conference. I think the Knicks are the best team in the Eastern Conference, and I think they're going to be the team that comes out of the Eastern Conference and goes to the finals this year. But I think Cleveland, once again, will have the better regular season record. Again, they're still a little injured. They got no Darius Garland, no Max Strus. DeAndre Hunter missed the first 2 games, I believe. So they're getting back into the swing of things. I like what I'm seeing from Jalen Tyson and Craig Porter Jr. I think that's very important down the stretch of the season, getting these guys some very valuable minutes in close games to start the season. So I really like this Cleveland Cavaliers team once again this year. I think it's really between them and the Knicks who's going to come out of the Eastern Conference. As you can see, the top of the power rankings is very West-dominated outside of 3 teams. So out of the first 12 teams, there's 4 Eastern Conference teams, and the rest are all Western Conference. Middle of the pack is more where the Eastern Conference shines, but I got Cleveland at the number 2 spot. Then at the number 3 spot, I have the Golden State Warriors with a record of 4-2 right now. Obviously, you got Steph Curry, but they've been winning games where Steph Curry didn't look great. I think he scored 18 points against maybe it was No, it wasn't Denver. He went crazy against Denver. It was the game after Denver. He had like 18 points or whatever, and they still won that game. So that is a very good sign for this Golden State Warriors team. Jimmy Butler has looked a little lackluster to start the season outside of the first game and a half. Jonathan Kuminga has looked great, though. He is proving everybody in the Golden State Warriors office and Steve Kerr wrong that he deserves what he wants to get paid so far. It's still a small sample size. He's only played 6 games, but I like what Steve Kerr's doing. I mean, he's kind of forcing Jonathan Kuminga to prove to everybody that he's worth the money that he wants and that this Golden State Warriors team shouldn't trade him away at the deadline, because I think coming into the season, that's what a lot of people expected to see. Is Jonathan Kuminga really going to get a lot of minutes so they can get his value up and then trade him at the deadline, or is he just kind of going to sit on the bench? But he's been starting every game. He's looked great. He's attacking the basket. He's shooting pretty decently, and Steve Kerr's using him as a primary defender sometimes. Like when they played the Lakers in Game 1, they were using Jonathan Kuminga on Luka Doncic a lot, which I think just if you want to gain the respect from Steve Kerr to be like, yeah, I'd belong in Golden State and I deserve the money that I want, you have to show some on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm really enjoying watching this Golden State Warriors team. Obviously, last night they lost to the Milwaukee Bucks with no Giannis Antetokounmpo, so that kind of hurts them a little bit. But I don't really go off a one-game thing. I'm kind of looking at the whole 6 games that they've already played, and I think this Golden State Warriors team belongs at the number 3 spot. Then at the number 4 spot, I have the New York Knicks, who are sitting at 2-2 right now. They're dealing with some injuries. No Mitchell Robinson. Deuce McBride missed the last game due to personal issues. So haven't really seen this New York Knicks team fully at full strength yet. And Mike Brown is he's 4 games into his New York Knicks career. I still have very high hopes for the Knicks. Like I said, I think they're going to be the team that comes out of the Eastern Conference this year and goes to the NBA Finals, because I love their roster. I love Mike Brown as the coach. Just gives them something new, something that fits a little bit more New York style. Like I like New York when they're playing at a high, fast-paced game. Jalen Brunson's pushing the tempo. OG, McCallum attacking. Like Cat hasn't looked great to start the year, which is surprising, and you hope that he can get back to his regular strength. But I still really like this New York Knicks team. The bench unit really hasn't given me as much. Some of their big off-season acquisitions in Jordan Clarkson and Yabusele, they haven't really shown much in the first 4 games, but I think that'll change. Mike Brown leaned a lot on his bench when he was in Sacramento, so I think this New York Knicks team is fine. 2-2 to start the year, just getting used to playing in this Mike Brown offense. Obviously, Mikal Bridges got interviewed about it, and he said, it's different, but it's fun. It's challenging us to play in a different style that we haven't played in. So I think they're building well with Mike Brown, and I think this is going to be a team to watch out for in the Eastern Conference and a team to watch out for as a championship contending team this year. Then at the number 5 spot, I have the Denver Nuggets sitting at 3-1. Again, this team is just amazing. Jokic averaging a triple-double through the first 4 games, so that's amazing to watch. They lost to the Warriors. That's their only loss so far, even though Aaron Gordon dropped a 50-point game. Aaron Gordon has looked great to start the year. The bench unit has struggled a little bit for this Denver Nuggets team. They still don't really have a point guard coming off the bench, which they're struggling with, but they fixed the hole of not having a backup center, and they got Jonas Valanciunas, which I love the fit of Jonas Valanciunas on this Denver Nuggets team. I'm so happy that they were able to convince him and kind of bribe him to stay for another season before he goes over to Greece or wherever he was going to go. But I really like this Denver Nuggets team. I think they're the top 5 team in the NBA and even could be higher. I think this is a team that could really contend with OKC for the championship in the Western Conference. Next up, I have at the 6 and 7 spot, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers. 2 teams that are dealing with, Lakers dealing with injuries, obviously. No LeBron, no Luka, but Austin Reeves has been killing it to start the year. And then the Clippers, they just have been a little lackluster to start the year. I think part of it is dealing with so many new faces coming in, and Chris Paul and Brook Lopez and John Collins and Bradley Beal. I think give it some time. I think this Clippers team is perfectly fine. They've just struggled to score the ball to start the year, which is kind of weird when you have James Harden and Kawhi and all these high scorers, but I think Brook Lopez has been a great acquisition. I want to see a little bit more from Bradley Beal. And then Chris Paul, obviously, he's 40. You're not really expecting much from him, but he's been giving them some solid minutes. I think this Lakers and this Clippers team are both really good teams in the Western Conference, so I got them at the 6 and the 7 spot. Then at the number 8 spot, the only other Eastern Conference team in the top 10, I have the Milwaukee Bucks, which some people might say, going off projections, like this is like way too high for this Milwaukee Bucks team. And yeah, you might be right. But I have loved what I've seen from Giannis to start this season. They've won games when it's just Giannis. They came back and beat the Cavs the other night, or they beat the Knicks the other night off just the role players around Giannis hitting their shots, which is going to be the biggest thing boiling down this season for the Milwaukee Bucks. Can AJ Green, can Gary Trent Jr., can Taurean Prince, Bobby Portis, can those guys knock down their three-point shots? Because if they can, it opens the game up for Giannis. It opens the game up for themselves as well. If they're not hitting their shots, everybody's going to just be crashing in the paint for Giannis, and he's not going to be able to get his 35 points that he's going to need to propel this team to some victories. But then, also, last night, they beat the Golden State Warriors with no Giannis on the court. So I think this Milwaukee Bucks team is really good. I don't know if they're a championship contending team, but like I said, I think there can be a top 4 seed in the Eastern Conference, and at that point, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo has to be the MVP, and that's why I picked him as my MVP for this season. So that's why the Milwaukee Bucks are at the number 8 spot right now. At the number 9 spot, have a team dealing with an injury to their star player in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, they have looked at times really good and at times really bad. Anthony Edwards obviously missing about a week to maybe 2 weeks. That's going to hinder them. But I like what I'm seeing from Julius Randle. He's being a little bit more aggressive. Jaden McDaniels has been super aggressive, which you want to see. Want to see a little bit more of that when Anthony Edwards is on the court. Obviously, they're still struggling with the point guard position. Hopefully, Rob Dillingham can jump in and just kind of prove that he can be a point guard in this NBA. But he's really struggled to start this year. And it's getting to a point where there's eventually a chance you have to call Rob Dillingham a bust because of how high he went. And in the first 2 years, he's barely played any games. Bones Highland is outplaying him at times when he's on the court. And Mike Conley has regressed. Rudy Gobert has regressed. But I don't know. There's just something about this Minnesota Timberwolves team that I still feel super confident in. And I think it's partially due to Anthony Edwards being just a superstar and could be in the MVP talks. So that's why I got the Minnesota Timberwolves at the number 9 spot. Then at the number 10 spot, I have another team kind of struggling a little bit to start the season with the Houston Rockets with a 2-2 record. Again, another team struggling with the point guard position. Obviously, Fred VanVleet went down so late into the offseason and into training camp that they have struggled to kind of figure out a way to plug that hole, plug the Fred VanVleet hole that has been left. But I think Ahmed Thompson is not the answer. I want to see this Houston Rockets team go and make a move to try and get a point guard. Reed Shepherd so far has not proven to me that he can be a point guard yet. I think he's shown flashes off the bench, and I'd like to keep him on the bench for another year. But I think this Houston Rockets team does need to make a move for a point guard, even if it's a small move. Like if you could get, I'm trying to think of a point guard that could maybe, honestly, maybe just go out and sign like a Spencer Dinwiddie or something. Like, I think it would just help so much with this Houston Rockets team. Obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith hasn't played yet. Kevin Durant looks good. Alperen Şengün looks amazing. Amin Thompson struggling to start the year, but he's also playing a different position that he's used to, so that's kind of likely to happen. So got Houston Rockets at the number 10 spot. Honestly, could have flopped them in the number 11 spot, which is the San Antonio Spurs. Them and Philly, who's right after them at the 12th spot. Two of the most surprising teams to start this year. San Antonio, I got them at the 11th spot because I really feel the defense is going to carry this team so much this year. If you saw my little TikTok, Instagram reel that I put out, I think if this San Antonio Spurs team has Victor Wembanyama for 65-plus games, they will not only have the MVP, or not the MVP, whoa, that's a little too far for Victor Wembanyama right now, the Defensive Player of the Year and a top 5 defense in the entire NBA. And I really think this San Antonio Spurs team, you're getting De'Aaron Fox back soon, and Luke Cornett hasn't played the last 2 or 3 games. So the team is just getting healthier, and you're already 5-0. It's an amazing sign for San Antonio. I think they could be like the Houston Rockets from last year, where not jump up to the 2 seed, but jump from out of the play-in to past the play-in and into a top 6 seed in the Western Conference. I love what Mitch Johnson is doing with this roster, and I just love the swagger that is kind of bought in with this San Antonio Spurs team. Victor Wembanyama's carrying it. Stephon Castle's carrying it. Devin Vassell's carrying it. Like, just everybody on that team has a swagger to them right now, which I love to see from this San Antonio Spurs team. And then at the number 12 spot, I have Philly, another team that is surprising. Like I said, 4-0 to start the year. Tyrese Maxey's killing it. VJ Edgecombe's killing it. Joel Embiid has struggled. No Paul George yet. No Jared McCain yet. So they're another team that's just going to continue to get healthier. I really like this Philly team, and it really boils down to, can Joel Embiid and Paul George get back to a shell of themselves? Joel has shown us a little bit of that in the couple games that he's played. Paul George we haven't seen yet this season, so we don't know what we're expecting from him. But if this Philly team gets a somewhat healthy Joel Embiid and a somewhat healthy Paul George, they're another team that could make a huge jump with how Tyrese Maxey's playing, with how VJ Edgecombe's playing. Quentin Grimes hasn't been great to start the year. He's bound to make a little bit of a leap. I mean, this Philly team is deep. They got a lot of moving pieces, and I like the pace that they've been playing with to start the year, and I think this is a fun team to watch out for in the Eastern Conference, making some noise in the regular season. Playoff-wise, I'm not super high on this Philly team, but that's why I have them at the number 12 spot. Then at the 13th spot, I have the Detroit Pistons, a team, again, dealing with injuries. No Jay Ivey, no Marcus Sasser. But Cade Cunningham is proving to everybody right now that he is one of the best point guards in the entire NBA. Their last game against the Orlando Magic, he was killing it. I mean, he's a freak at the point guard position, because that chase down kind of swat he had on Jalen Suggs was just amazing to see from your point guard. The only thing with this Detroit Pistons team is they are struggling when he goes out of the game. They don't really have any other creators on this roster. Karis LeVert is a self-creator, but he is not at all a playmaker. That's why they get Jay Ivey back. They get Marcus Sasser back. I think they'll jump a little bit. But right now, I have them at the 13th spot, because if Marcus Sasser and Jay Ivey miss an extended time more than they already are, this Detroit Pistons team is going to struggle. But I really like their roster. Jalen Duren's looking good. Isaiah Stewart's looking really good. Tobias Harris, don't poke him. Don't poke the bear, because Tobias Harris was killing it the other night against Orlando. Then, at the 14th spot, I have the Orlando Magic. Kind of a lackluster start to the season. They're pretty much fully healthy outside of Jalen Suggs missing back-to-back games. I don't know, just something is so weird about this team. Last year they were the best defense but the worst offense. And now it feels like they're kind of in the middle of the pack for both, which feels the complete opposite of what you would want from what they did in the offseason. You wanted to continue to keep that defensive structure and just build on the offensive end by adding Desmond Bane. And he has struggled to start the year. But I don't know. They've just been getting blown by. I feel like they're really struggling on the defensive end right now. So I don't know. Orlando's got to change something up. Jamal Mosey's got to change up something. Or this Orlando Magic team could kind of just be another middle-of-the-pack team where many people thought of them as a championship contending team in the Eastern Conference. Then at the number 15 spot, I have the Memphis Grizzlies at a 3-2 record. One of the surprising teams in the Western Conference. Obviously, no Zach Edey and Scottie Pippen Jr. is out for the year, but Cedric Coward has looked amazing. Their rookie 16th overall pick, 14th overall pick. He was somewhere in that range. He's looked really good. Jalen Wells is back to what we expected from him from last year. John Morant hitting game winners. I mean, Memphis, they're fun again. I don't know if they're a championship contending team, but they're another fun team in the Western Conference that you just have to watch out for, have to watch what John Morant's going to do this year. Jaren Jackson Jr. has kind of struggled to start the year, and they're missing the offense of Desmond Bane a lot. But I think Santi Aldama's picking it up. KCP's picking it back up. So we'll see what we get from this Memphis Grizzlies team going forward. Next up, the Atlanta Hawks at the 16 spot. 2-3 record so far. Trae Young just went down with an injury. I don't think a timeline or an MRI ever came out, so hopefully it's nothing serious. But this Atlanta Hawks team has struggled a little bit to start the year. But you have, again, a lot of moving pieces with this Atlanta Hawks team. You bring in Kristaps Porzingis. You bring in Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Both of them. Kristaps has looked really good with this Atlanta Hawks team. Nickeil struggled to start. He's looking better and better and better every game. Luke Kennard has looked great from the start. Dyson Daniels has struggled because teams are just leaving him open. He has not gained the confidence in his three-point shooting just yet. Jalen Johnson's still getting back into the swing of things, but I really like this Atlanta Hawks team. Hopefully Trae Young doesn't miss any time because this Atlanta Hawks team could struggle. But I would also like to see Jalen Johnson kind of on his own being the guy in Atlanta. And maybe you see that as the moving forward of Atlanta, maybe moving on from Trae Young. But I have them at the 16 spot so far right now because they do have a lot of moving pieces coming in. That next up at the 17 spot, I have the Portland Trailblazers at the 3-2 record. 0-1 to start the year. Then they lose their coach, Chauncey Billups, to all the gambling scandal that's going on in the NBA. And don't let that take away from how great the start of the NBA season has been. That is one big thing. I think that is like the biggest talking point so far in the NBA season so far is just like the gambling scandal, what's going to happen with all these guys. Don't let that fool you about how amazing the start of this NBA season has been, especially for this Portland Trailblazers team. 3-1 since Tiago Splitter took over as the interim head coach, beat the Lakers. I mean, Drew Holiday is bought in. I love the defensive culture of this team. Donovan Klingman, like to see him get a little bit more shots at the basket. I think he's struggling at times. Jeremy Grant is looking amazing off the bench. And this Portland Trailblazers team is with no Scoot Henderson so far. So hopefully when Scoot Henderson comes back, it just umps the pace and tempo and scoring off the bench for this Portland Trailblazers team. Again, another fun team in the Western Conference that you kind of just got to look out for. They're going to be a team that they're going to make some noise this year. And I thought Chauncey Billups could be in Coach of the Year contention. Obviously, if he's not there, Tiago Splitter, he definitely deserves a nod because I think this Portland Trailblazers team is at most a 6th seed in the Western Conference. I think they're 100% making the play-in this year with some of the teams below them just being so weak to start the year. So I'm super high on this Portland Trailblazers team. Next up at the 18th spot, I have the Boston Celtics. 2-3 record. Jaylen Brown, Derek White, they're doing their thing. it's just the other pieces around them. They're just not as talented as they once were. And I respect the Celtics so much that I couldn't put them outside of the top 20 because I think this team is still really good. I think they have just some guys playing in new roles than they're used to. Peyton Pritchard obviously starting now. Anthony Simons coming off the bench. You got Keita, who was a fourth-string center last year. He's now in the starters, which I love to see. I love Neemias Keita. I think he is a great center and could be a great center for a lot of teams in the NBA. I just think Boston, they just lack a lot of talent. And that's the only thing I have as a takeaway for them. I'm loving what I'm seeing from Jaylen Brown taking over some of these games, 40-point game a couple days ago. Derek White playing more of a point guard kind of role with this team. I think this Boston Celtics team is still a play-in team, maybe just missing the play-in, but I still got them at the 18 spot because I don't feel I can put them any higher than the teams above them. But for respect, I don't think I could put them anywhere below where they are right now. Then at the 19 spot, I have the Miami Heat. 3-2 record, just lost to the San Antonio Spurs last night. Again, another team, they're going to continue to get more and more healthy. Tyler Hero, still injured right now. Davion Mitchell's come into that starting point guard position like he did last year in the play-in and the playoffs, and he's looking amazing once again. And they're going to struggle with who they should start with, Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, and Tyler Hero. Hopefully they keep Davion because I think he is an epitome of Heat culture player. He hangs his hat on the defensive end. He's gritty. He's going to get in your face. He's going to attack you. I love Davion Mitchell. Like to see a little bit more of Bam Adebayo and Khalil Ware. They started that last night against the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, they lost. But I want to see that as a more consistent lineup for this Miami Heat team. Simone Fontecchio has looked great. Jaime Jaquez is back to his rookie year. Nikola Jovic is knocking down shots. Pele Larson's coming in, giving them some good minutes. Just a really solid start to the year for this Miami Heat team, which before the season, you're like, what direction are they going in? Where are they going to look at for this team? But 19th right now, 3-2 record. I really like what I'm seeing from this Miami Heat team. And then at the number 20 spot, it feels really low since they are 4-0. I'm just not super confident that this Chicago Bulls team can continue to keep this up. I have the Chicago Bulls at the 20th spot. I think they play the New York Knicks tonight and then again on Sunday, I believe. Back-to-back games against the New York Knicks. I think those are both losses. And this is where it goes downhill for the Chicago Bulls. I know I really like how they're playing so far with no Kobe White, Modest Buzelis, Josh Giddey, Trey Jones has looked really good. Vucci Main has looked amazing to start the year. They have a really solid team. I think they have another play-in team, once again, which if you're a Chicago Bulls fan, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. At least you're competitive, but it's like we're kind of stuck where we have been for the last couple of years. But I don't know, the 4-0 start just hasn't sold me on anything. I think all the teams above them are just better than them. I think they've kind of they've won games off of playing teams that don't know who they are yet. They beat Orlando, they beat Atlanta, two teams that are just still trying to figure things out. And now you're going to come in, you're going to play New York twice in a row. I think New York has kind of figured out who they are, what has worked, what has not worked so far. I think this is where it starts to go downhill for the Chicago Bulls team. Still think they're going to be a good team this year, though. That's why they're at the 20 spot. Number 21, I have the Dallas Mavericks at a 2-3 record. Honestly, from 21 to 30, these are just all bad teams to start this year, to be honest. Dallas, Anthony Davis injured in their last game. We'll see how long he's going to miss. They've won games when they've given more minutes to D'Angelo Russell. That's the biggest thing that I've seen from this Dallas Mavericks team in the last couple games. Cooper Flagg is getting more and more used to playing at an NBA level. I don't know. I just think this Dallas Mavericks team struggles with creation, getting people involved. And then now if Anthony Davis does miss any sort of time, they're going to be really bad, so I have them at the 21 spot. Then at the 22 spot, I have an 0-4 team in the Indiana Pacers. I don't think this team is an 0-4 team. Pascal Siakam is playing really good once again. Andrew Nembhard and Benedict Mathurin played 2 games, maybe. Andrew Nembhard got injured in their first game and hasn't played since. I think Benedict Mathurin played in 2 games so far and then hasn't played in the other 2. I don't think this Indiana Pacers team is good, but I don't think they're 0-4, and I don't think they're worse than the teams below them. Maybe the team right below them I could see having a better season, but I think I'd still pick Indiana to beat the team below them, which is the Toronto Raptors, in a game if they're both fully healthy. So that's why I got Indiana at number 2. At number 23, like I just said, Toronto Raptors. I was super high off their first game, just watching how they just bought in on the defensive end, picking up 94 feet, but they can't shoot. This team really can't shoot. RJ Barrett has struggled to shoot the ball. Scotty Barnes has struggled to shoot the ball. Again, they're just kind of going to Brandon Ingram when they need a bucket, which I don't fully want to see. Jakob Poeltl missed their last game. I don't know. I was high on this Toronto Raptors team to start, but right now I don't know. I think they're just a bad team, to be honest. Darko, some weird changes with the lineup and like how they're shooting 3-pointers, but they're also just all crashing on the offensive glass. It's just a weird team so far. Hopefully they can figure it out because I really like this Toronto Raptors team. I want to see them do good, but I don't know. It's just a weird start to the year for them. Next up at the 24 spot, I have my Sacramento Kings. We're 1-4 right now. Probably should be 0-5 if it wasn't for Domantas Sabonis absolutely saving us against the Utah Jazz. And we have one of the hardest schedules, like month schedule coming up. There's a chance that we go 0-13 over the next couple games and we're sitting at 1-17. Not saying that's what we're going to do, but we're playing a lot of really good teams coming up. And this Sacramento Kings team is just bad. Doug Christie still just, I don't know. I'm still just kind of dumbfounded that we just went so quickly to Doug Christie instead of trying to go after somebody else at the coaching position. Because Doug Christie, yeah, he had half a year, but he's still in his first full season, and you have him with a bunch of vets on a team that you're like, yeah, we should be competing. But I think Doug Christie would fit much better on a team that is super young, like a Brooklyn Nets or a Washington Wizards, where you can kind of coach them and teach them how to be NBA players instead of coaching and teaching to try to win games. Russell Westbrook starting at the 4 for us is not a great sign. Keegan Murray comes back in a couple weeks, so hopefully that changes some things. Doug Christie, give Keon Ellis more minutes. I can't say it any louder and any more. Doug Christie, play Keon Ellis more minutes. He's been our most impactful player to start the year. That's why I got Sacramento at the 24 spot. At the 25 spot, I have the Charlotte Hornets, 2-3 to start the year. Brandon Miller's missed a couple games with a shoulder injury. Again, I just don't think the Charlotte Hornets team is good. Once again, I think they're struggling with structure. Charles Lee is trying to build that structure. The new ownership group is trying to build a structure around LaMelo Ball. I just don't think LaMelo Ball is the guy for the Charlotte Hornets. There's not really much else to say about this Charlotte Hornets team. I think Con Knipples looked good. Ryan Kalkbrenner, even though I dislike him, he's looked good. Zion James has also looked good. I mean, I just think they're in for another bad year in Charlotte. Next up at the 26th spot, I have the 1-4 Phoenix Suns. Their only win coming against the Sacramento Kings. Jalen Green missing some time. Kaman Maluak hasn't played at like barely any minutes for this Phoenix Suns team to start the year, which I don't understand why you use a lottery pick on a guy. And obviously you have Mark Williams, you have Nick Richards, but Kaman Maluak should be the guy for the future for this Phoenix Suns team. Jordan Ott, their brand new head coach, still young, still a team that they're just not a very good team. I think they could jump a lot of the teams above them, but as of right now, with no Jalen Green, I have them at the 26th spot. Then at the 27th spot, now we're into the bottom 4 teams in the NBA. The Utah Jazz, who are 2-2 to start the year. So don't get me wrong, this Utah Jazz team is better than the teams below them. I think Utah, Phoenix, Charlotte, Sacramento, Toronto, even, I think all those guys are in kind of the same realm and same tier of NBA teams this year. The 3 teams below them are just a tier below. Even though I really like the team at the 28th spot, I'll get to them in just a second. This Utah Jazz team, I think they're going to struggle. They're going to lose games to start the year. I think their best player, Lauri Markkanen, is going to get moved by the trade deadline, which is best for his career, best for the Utah Jazz. Bryce Sensabaugh, I'd like to see him get some more minutes. I fully don't understand why Will Hardy is playing Svi Mikhailiuk, who he's been good. Don't get me wrong. He's been good to start the year, but you have Bryce Sensabaugh, Ace Bailey, Walter Clayton Jr., Isaiah Collier is injured, missing some time, but come on, Will Hardy. Like, I know you're a great coach. You're 2-2 right now, but you're not a playoff team. Get Ace Bailey, get Bryce Sensabaugh some more minutes to start this NBA season. That's all I want to see from this Utah Jazz team. Then at the 28th spot, I have the Washington Wizards, which I am a big fan of this Washington Wizards team. Even though they're going to be really bad this year, I think they're going to be a fun bad. I love Trey Johnson. I love what he's bringing. CJ McCollum, Chris Middleton, probably going to get moved by the deadline, so then they're going to just be really bad. Alex Sarr has looked way better to start the year. I like this Washington Wizards team going forward. Personally, I still think they have a better young core than the Charlotte Hornets. That's just my opinion, but I have the Washington Wizards at the number 28 spot. And then the bottom 2 teams in the NBA, the 0-4 Pelicans are the 29th spot, and the 0-5 Brooklyn Nets are the 30th spot. They're both just really bad teams, honestly. This Brooklyn Nets team is going to be the worst team in the entire NBA. The Pelicans, I think they can make some noise, but I am just more bought into Zion Williamson this season than I am anything else with this New Orleans Pelicans team. But that is the number 1 in the first power rankings of the NBA season for me. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will be back for the NBA Cup predictions. This has been Beyond the Scoreboard, presented by RDSE, and I am your host, Michael Lyons. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard, presented by RDSE, and I'm your host, Michael Lyons. And like I said before we went to commercial break, we finished the NBA Power Rankings, and now we are on to the NBA Cup predictions. Starting off with Group A, which consists of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Atlanta Hawks, Toronto Raptors, Washington Wizards, and the Indiana Pacers. Out of this group, I think it's very easy. I'm going with the Cleveland Cavaliers. I think they're going to be healthy by the time the end of the group stage is going to be over. I think they're going to sweep this group, going 4-0. I have Atlanta going 3-1, Toronto 2-2, Washington 1-3, and I have the Indiana Pacers really struggling with 0-4. I could see Indiana stealing a game or two, maybe. So that's a team that you got to watch out for. Obviously, if they get healthy, Benedict Mathurin and Andrew Nembhard back, it'll change. But I think the Indiana Pacers, they just struggle with some talent. I think the Wizards also, just a young team, but I think they're fun. They're going to keep a lot of their games competitive and close. Then Toronto and Atlanta, 2 teams that could definitely win the Cup and win the group, but I think Atlanta has a better chance. And I think Atlanta or the team in Group B that I have coming in second is going to be the team that comes out of the East. Obviously, the NBA Cup rules is the winner of each group moves on, and then a wild card from each conference, the East and the West, whoever finished second with the best record will also move on. So 4-4 from each conference. But I think Cleveland is the only team coming out of this group that is going to move on in the NBA Cup. Next up for the NBA Cup Group B, it consists of the Orlando Magic, Detroit Pistons, Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers, and the Brooklyn Nets. I have the Orlando Magic finishing at a record of 3-1. The Detroit Pistons coming in second with also a record of 3-1. Boston and Philly at third and fourth, both finishing with a 2-2 record. And then I have the Brooklyn Nets obviously finishing with an 0-4 record. I think the Detroit Pistons are the best team to move on that isn't going to win their group. I think Orlando, they're going to figure things out. They're going to get the defense back clicking by the time the end of the group is over. End of the group stage is over. So I have Orlando winning the group. And I think Detroit is going to be the team to also come out of this group being the best record outside of the winner in their group. And I don't know exactly what they would do if Detroit and Atlanta both finished with a 3-1 record. I think it would probably go to point differential. So Detroit, every game's going to matter. Every point's going to matter. So I want to see this Detroit Pistons team compete for this NBA Cup title. I think they're a fun young team. Cade Cunningham, want to see him on a big stage, a lot of viewers. But I just think this Orlando Magic team is better right now. I think by the time the end of the group stage comes, they are going to have everything clicking on the offensive end. Then to the last group in the NBA Cup, it consists of the New York Knicks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Chicago Bulls, the Miami Heat, and the Charlotte Hornets. Now, out of this group, I have the New York Knicks winning it with a 4-0 record, the Milwaukee Bucks winning with coming in second with a 3-1 record, Chicago 2-2, Miami 1-3, and the Charlotte Hornets 0-4. I think New York is going to pretty easily win this group. Obviously, we just saw Milwaukee beat New York. I think that is just kind of caught the team on a good night kind of thing, because New York did pretty much own the whole first half. They were killing it on the offensive end, and they were walling up Giannis because all the shooters couldn't shoot around him. If that happens once again where the guys around Giannis aren't hitting their shots, there's a chance that this New York Knicks team could just pull away against the Milwaukee Bucks, which Milwaukee, been in the finals the past 2 years, lost to the Lakers year one, I believe, and then they won in the second year. Forgot who they played in the second year, but again, another team that's 3-1. Second, I think it's between Milwaukee or Detroit that's going to move on outside of the group stage, not winning it. I wouldn't be mad at seeing Milwaukee, though. I like watching Giannis. I think he takes every game super serious, and especially when it's a NBA Cup game where he can get some of his guys that aren't on huge contracts a little bit more bread. That $500K if you win the whole thing for each player. That's some of these guys, that's pretty good money. I mean, that's like a fourth of like Ryan Rollins' yearly contract that he can win in one game. So Giannis is a good leader. I think he can push this team. I think personally, though, I would go with Detroit also making it out of the East. So for the East, I have Cleveland, Orlando, Detroit, in New York, making it out of the group stage and into the quarterfinals for the NBA Cup. That has been the Eastern Conference. Now we are going to move on to the Western Conference. And there's a couple groups in the Western Conference that are really difficult to predict. For the NBA Cup Group A from the Western Conference, it consists of the Minnesota Timberwolves, Oklahoma City Thunder, Sacramento Kings, Phoenix Suns, and the Utah Jazz. I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to walk away with this group 4-0. I think Minnesota, they're going to get healthy, get Anthony Edwards back. I think they're going to finish with a 3-1 record. Sacramento, 2-2. They're going to lose to Oklahoma City and lose to Minnesota. I think they could beat Phoenix and beat Utah, but again, early on in the season, almost lost to Utah and lost to Phoenix. So, again, there's a chance Sacramento could obviously come out of this group with 0 wins. Phoenix 1-3 record and Utah 0-4 record. It really just is going to come down to the game between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's the biggest takeaway game from this whole group right here. And I feel more confident in Oklahoma City. And I just remember they are the team that lost to Milwaukee last year in the NBA Cup final. I really only remember that. I don't really remember watching the game much. I know I was watching it. I just don't really remember much. I think Andre Jackson had like a really big game. But that also might have been when they lost to the Lakers. I don't really remember. NBA Cup is still new, so it's still getting used to all these new changes. But I remember from Starting 5, which is, if you haven't watched Starting 5 yet, make sure you tune into Starting 5 because this season is super fun to watch. I mean, you got James Harden, Kevin Durant, Shea, Tyrese Halliburton, and Jaylen Brown, all guys that they all have different things going on, and they're all just different people. If you haven't watched, spoiler, but James Harden got a girlfriend and got a kid, which feels so crazy to me because seeing James Harden as a guy that's just kind of always partying at the club, it's weird to see him kind of being an adult. Shea, obviously, super big on social media, so what you're seeing from him in this is not super crazy. Tyrese is a fun addition, just a fun young guy in this core of the 5. Jaylen Brown, honestly, the most interesting to me so far because learning more about him, learning more about his grandfather who was a boxing coach and boxing sparring partner from like Muhammad Ali or Joe Frazier, and just super fun to watch. If you haven't watched, make sure you go and watch. If you have Netflix, it's on there. I think there's 13 episodes, 10 episodes. I haven't finished the whole thing. Obviously, we know how it ends with Shea and Tyrese Halliburton, so I can't wait to see what happens there. Might shed a couple tears for Tyrese Halliburton, but back to the NBA Cup. Oklahoma City Thunder, I think they're going to walk away with this group, beating the Minnesota Timberwolves. And then after that, Group B. This is a really tough group to predict again. The NBA Cup West Group B consists of the Los Angeles Lakers, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Memphis Grizzlies, New Orleans Pelicans, and the Dallas Mavericks. Again, I think Memphis is the team that could really mess up this group right here because I have them going 2-2 in this group. If they beat Los Angeles, both the Los Angeles teams, I mean, it could be really close between the top 3 because I think all 3 of them will beat New Orleans and Dallas. I think New Orleans could maybe sneak out a game. Dallas can maybe, all these teams could sneak out a game against any of them if they're fully healthy. Obviously, if Dallas, I made this prediction before Anthony Davis went down with his injury, so if he's out for an extended period of time, I think this Dallas Mavericks team goes 0-4. But I don't know. I just kind of like what I'm seeing from the Clippers and the Lakers. And I think their game is really going to come down to it because I think if the Clippers beat the Lakers and then somehow lose a game to the Grizzlies, I still think that win over the Lakers is going to propel them to the top of the group. But this is going to be a really fun group to watch. And then for the NBA Cup Group C, this is the hardest group in the entire NBA Cup. You have the Denver Nuggets, the Golden State Warriors, the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Portland Trailblazers. This is the hardest group to predict because all these teams are looking really good to start the year outside of Houston, but I think Houston's going to turn that around. I think Denver's going to win this group. I think I have Denver winning this group with a 3-1 record. Golden State, Houston, and San Antonio all finishing with a 2-2 record, and then Portland finishing with a 1-3 record. I don't think they're going to come out without a single victory. I just think Denver, I feel the most confident in them beating all the teams below them. I think Golden State could steal a game from them, but I think Golden State could easily lose a game to Houston because of the length, San Antonio because of the length, or Portland because of the length. I'm just predicting off having the best player in the entire NBA. I'm going with the Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic obviously he's just a stud. Jimmy Butler, we know him. Obviously, you don't want to see him kind of flop in the NBA Cup because it is an important kind of series and games, but I really like the Denver Nuggets coming out of this group. So for coming out of the NBA Cup group stages in the Western Conference, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Los Angeles Clippers, the Denver Nuggets, and I'm going to go, it's between Minnesota or the Lakers in the final one. I think I'm going to go with the Lakers because I think they can still win some games right now with no Luka and no LeBron. And then if they get Luka and LeBron back for the final couple games of the group stage, it's going to be very difficult for some of the teams below them to beat them. So I'm going with Oklahoma City, both the LA teams, the Clippers and the Lakers, and the Denver Nuggets coming out of the Western Conference for the NBA Cup. Those have been my NBA Cup predictions. This has been Beyond the Scoreboard. Hope you guys enjoyed listening. As always, check out the YouTube, check out the Instagram, check out the TikTok, and we'll be back next week. Not sure what we're going to be talking about yet, but hopefully we'll have more news on the NBA gambling scandal. I wanted to talk about it today, but not much has come out since last week, so just not really much to talk about. But again, stay tuned with the NBA season. Keep watching for more NBA content. This has been Beyond the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Michael Lyons, and this has been presented by RDSE.